The Philippines has lodged a strong protest against China's plan to turn Scarborough Shoal into a nature reserve. The area is hotly disputed, and Manila sees China's move as illegal and provocative. The Philippine government is preparing a formal diplomatic complaint, signaling a new escalation in the ongoing conflict. China announced the nature reserve without consulting the Philippines, further straining relations. Manila views this as a strategic attempt by China to tighten its grip on the territory. The protest is not just about land or water, it's about national sovereignty and pride. By acting unilaterally, China is asserting ownership, which the Philippines fiercely rejects. The government's swift response highlights the importance of Scarborough Shoal to the nation. This dispute is part of a much larger struggle over territory and resources in the South China Sea. The Philippines is determined to defend its claims through diplomatic channels. The protest sends a clear message. Manila will not stand by as China makes decisions about its claimed territory. This move sets the stage for more diplomatic battles and uncertainty in the region. The world is watching as tensions rise between the two countries. The outcome could shape the future of the South China Sea. For now, the Philippines is using diplomacy to push back against what it sees as an aggressive move. The conflict over Scarborough Shoal is far from over. China has flatly rejected the Philippines' protest, insisting Scarborough Shoal is its territory. Beijing claims historical rights, citing its 9-line map that covers much of the South China Sea. Chinese officials dismiss Manila's objections as provocations and interference. China argues that creating a nature reserve is a normal administrative act within its sovereign territory. The government maintains it has every right to manage the shoal and expects the Philippines to stay out. By calling Manila's protests provocations, China shifts blame for rising tensions. Beijing's message is clear. It will not be swayed by diplomatic pressure. The move is part of a broader strategy to assert dominance in the region. China's confidence signals it will continue with its plans, regardless of international criticism. The rejection of the protest is not just about Scarborough Shoal. It's about setting the rules in the South China Sea. This hardline stance leaves little room for negotiation or compromise. China's actions reinforce its image as a global power unwilling to yield. The dispute is now locked in a diplomatic stalemate. Both sides are digging in, making a peaceful solution more elusive. The world is left to watch as tensions simmer. Scarborough Shoal, or Bajo de Masinloc in the Philippines, is a small group of reefs and rocks in the South China Sea. It's a traditional fishing ground for generations of Filipinos, now at the center of a fierce territorial dispute. In 2012, China took control of the shoal, blocking Filipino fishermen and sparking outrage. The shoal's strategic location makes it highly valuable, despite its small size. For the Philippines, losing access means lost livelihoods and a blow to national pride. China's presence has shifted the balance of power in the region. The Philippines continues to challenge China's control through protests and legal action, but with little effect. Scarborough Shoal is now a symbol of the broader struggle over territory and resources in the South China Sea. The standoff is closely watched by neighboring countries and the international community. The shoal's fate is uncertain, but its importance is undeniable. It's a flashpoint for international tension and a test of both countries' resolve. The conflict affects not just the two nations, but the stability of Southeast Asia. Filipino fishermen remain caught in the middle, their way of life threatened. The dispute is about more than maps, it's about people, power, and the future of the region. Scarborough Shoal's story is far from over. Each new development adds to the complexity of the conflict. The world is watching to see what happens next. The stakes could not be higher. In 2016, an international court in The Hague ruled in favor of the Philippines over the South China Sea dispute. The court found China's 9-line claims had no legal basis, marking a major legal victory for Manila. China, however, refused to participate in the case and immediately rejected the ruling. The decision declared Scarborough Shoal a traditional fishing ground for several countries, including the Philippines. The court said China had unlawfully blocked Filipino fishermen, violating their rights. Despite the clear ruling, China's control of the shoal remains unchanged. There's no global authority to enforce the decision, leaving the Philippines with a victory on paper only. The ruling highlights the limits of international law when powerful countries refuse to comply. Filipino fishermen still face barriers, and the dispute drags on. The World Court's decision was meant to clarify the rules, but reality on the water hasn't shifted. The Philippines continues to cite the ruling in its protests, but China stands firm. The unresolved conflict shows the gap between legal principles and geopolitical power. Scarborough Shoal remains a symbol of this struggle. The legal battle is over, but the fight for access and control continues. The world is left to wonder if international law can ever truly resolve such disputes. The Scarborough Shoal dispute has led to dangerous encounters at sea. Chinese Coast Guard ships regularly chase away Philippine boats, often using risky maneuvers. These confrontations create a tense and unstable environment. The Philippines sees China's actions as aggressive, aimed at intimidating fishermen and asserting control. Military drills by both countries add to the tension, raising the risk of accidents or escalation. Filipino fishermen are caught in the crossfire, facing threats to their safety and livelihoods. The government has condemned China's actions, but incidents continue. The situation is volatile, with peace and stability under constant threat. Each encounter at sea could spark a larger conflict. The region remains on high alert with no resolution in sight. The standoff is a daily reality for those who depend on the shoal. The world watches as the risk of miscalculation grows. The dispute is not just about territory, it's about lives and security. The fragile peace could shatter at any moment. Scarborough Shoal's importance goes far beyond fishing. Its strategic location allows whoever controls it to monitor and influence a vast area of the South China Sea. The shoal could serve as a military outpost, giving a country a major advantage in the region. Its proximity to key shipping lanes means control could impact global trade. Billions of dollars in goods pass through these waters every year. For the Philippines, the shoal is vital for both security and economic reasons. Losing access has hurt coastal communities and the national economy. The dispute draws international attention because of its potential to disrupt trade and security. Scarborough Shoal is a central piece in a complex geopolitical puzzle. Its fate will shape the future of Southeast Asia. In the Philippines, calls are growing for a tougher response to China's moves. Legal experts like former Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio warn that China's nature reserve plan is a strategic play to cement its claim. Carpio argues that simply protesting isn't enough. The Philippines needs a more assertive strategy. He urges the government to explore new legal and diplomatic options and to rally support from allies. Many Filipinos fear their country is losing ground in the dispute. The debate is shifting from reaction to proactive defense of national interests. Pressure is mounting on the government to act decisively. The choices made now could determine the country's future in the region. The internal debate is shaping foreign policy and national identity. China frames its nature reserve plan as environmental protection, claiming it's about preserving marine life. By using conservation language, China seeks to soften criticism and present itself as a responsible global actor. However, the Philippines and many observers are skeptical, seeing the move as a cover for asserting control. Critics argue that true environmental protection would involve cooperation, not unilateral action. China's history of damaging reefs elsewhere in the South China Sea fuels doubts about its motives. The environmental argument is widely viewed as a strategic smokescreen. For many, the nature reserve is less about conservation and more about power. The dispute over Scarborough Shoal is as much about territory as it is about the environment. The future of Scarborough Shoal remains uncertain. The Philippines will press its protest and seek international support, hoping to build pressure on China. China is likely to push ahead with its plans, dismissing criticism and increasing its presence at the shoal. Tensions on the water could escalate, putting fishermen and regional stability at risk. The dispute tests the power of international law and the resolve of smaller nations. The world is watching to see if diplomacy or force will decide the outcome. The next moves by Manila and Beijing will be crucial. The fate of Scarborough Shoal will shape the region for years to come.